Okay, gang, really quick before we jump into the video. You may or may not know that I left academia a few years back for broadcasting, but teaching the next generation has and always will be on my heart. I've been broadcasting now through 3 election cycles, and I'm just sick at what the elites have done to our education system. So I decided to step up. My team and I have been working on this for well over a year now. I started a school, and I have absolutely massive plans to take it nationwide. The Worldview Institute of Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship opens its first location in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on April 9th, and I want to invite you to the ribbon cutting. And I've built a whole amazing event around it, so I want you to come and join me at the Kingdom Builders Experience, April 9th through 11th. You'll get an exclusive invite to the school's ribbon cutting. You'll be invited to a special Scotch and Cigars meetup with yours truly. I'll be lecturing at the school, plus we're hosting a Business Makers Summit where education meets opportunity. Now, seats are limited. Click the link below to learn more, and I can't wait to see you there. Things just got a whole lot worse for the already under fire liberal judge who tried to block President Trump's deportations of illegal alien gang members. According to the latest Rasmussen poll, American voters want this left-wing activist impeached by a margin of 2-1. Support for Trump's deportation of these illegal alien gang members is through the roof. 2/3 of likely voters support the measure, and by a 2-1 margin, those same voters want this judge impeached. Now, this comes on the heels of a bombshell report from Just the News that exposed Boasberg's conflict of interest in all this. Just weeks before his blatantly unconstitutional ruling, it turns out that he attended a privately funded legal conference in Idaho put on by a radical anti-Trump activist, and that featured sponsors and speakers who've expressed clear anti-Trump sentiments, particularly on immigration and January the 6th. It was a blatant violation of judicial impartiality, and now lawmakers are calling on Judge Boasberg to give an account of himself and his actions before a congressional committee. Here's Congressman Jim Jordan.
Frankly, there's the broader issue of all these judges' injunctions and then decisions like Judge Boasberg, what he's trying to do and how that case is working. We're going to have hearings on all of that because particularly when you look at Judge Boasberg, it starts to look like this is getting totally political from this guy, particularly when you remember he's also the judge who was part of the whole Trump-Russia FISA court granting those warrants that allowed the Comey FBI to spy on President Trump's campaign. So we're going to look at that issue as well, but hopefully we can get that bill passed next week on the House floor, move it to the Senate, hopefully get it to the president's desk.
So it's not just the conflict of interest. It's the blatant unconstitutionality of this ruling that has so many scratching their heads, not to mention so many of us absolutely seething. And it looks like this disdain for the Constitution unfortunately pervades the whole of the D.C. Judicial Circuit. You may have heard about this outrage in a hearing appealing Boasberg's decision in front of a D.C. Circuit court the other day. One of the judges on that court actually went so far as to state that Nazis were treated better than these illegal migrants. I kid you not, this judge claimed that Nazis were given more rights to contest their removal from the United States during World War II than Venezuelan migrants deported by the Trump administration. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett attended that hearing, and he told Sean Hannity last night that he was hardly surprised by such rhetoric, given the penchant for far leftist activism on the D.C. courts. But the fact remains that when all is said and done, the President of the United States has unchallenged authority under the Alien Enemies Act, which he used to order the deportation of those 200 illegal alien gang members. So this act has been reviewed historically by the Supreme Court, and the rulings consistently uphold the notion that the act precludes judicial review. It's like the president ordering a military strike. That order is not itself what we call judiciable. It's not subject to judicial rule. That president has been granted precisely that kind of executive authority under the Constitution. Again, one of the things that I've been arguing of late is that President Trump is completely taking D.C. off guard here, precisely because he's the first president in our lifetimes to actually be instituting constitutional rule. He's the first president in our lifetimes to govern in accordance with his constitutionally mandated executive power. And he's demonstrating what this country is capable of when we follow the powers granted to the president by the Constitution. Trump is actively and intentionally reawakening the executive power of the presidency that's been stifled, again, unconstitutionally, by both bureaucrats and activist judges since the rise of the deep state post-FDR. And he's making that constitutional restoration the defining hallmark of his presidency, his second term. He's already signed more executive orders than any previous president in their first 100 days in history. And his are radically remaking the federal government like never before. And these liberal activist judges they've been completely caught off guard, evidenced by their overreacting in a way that they never have before a sitting president. Never have there been so many injunctions issued against a sitting president, period, let alone in their first 2 months of office. But these judges are doing absolutely everything they possibly can to either try to stop him, which they know they ultimately can't, but at the very least, they're just trying to slow him down. But again, in the end, it's all for naught. Because even this appellate court, this liberal appellate court in D.C. is having to admit that they nor Boasberg have any jurisdiction over this case against Trump deporting the illegal migrant gang members, precisely because the petition was filed by plaintiffs in freaking Texas. The petition was filed by plaintiffs in Texas, so why is a D.C. judge ruling on it? He doesn't even have the jurisdiction, let alone the constitutional authority, to render this ridiculous and, as it turns out, ultimately futile decision. Oh, and if Boasberg thought that the Justice Department was going to help him out on this, think again. Neither the Trump administration nor Pam Bondi are going to participate in any way, shape, or form with this clown show. They're refusing to turn over the details of the flights to this liberal activist judge as he's doubling down on his absurdities. I mean, it seems to me in the end that this is a pretty clear case of, if you want to live by lawfare, you're going to die by it. If you want to live by lawfare, you're going to die by it. Just like we saw with the utterly ridiculous indictments against President Trump. Every single one of them blew up in their faces. Ultimately because of you and what you did on November 5th. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, likes to say November 5th was the single largest verdict ever rendered by a citizen court, and Trump was found overwhelmingly not guilty. And speaking of electoral verdicts, things are getting even worse for the Democrats. Wait until you see this. But first, gang, what do you think you could do if you had the same insider trading information that Nancy Pelosi has, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Politicians like Pelosi have had access to insider trading secrets for decades now. They know exactly what stocks to buy and when to buy them. But guess what? You and I actually have access to that very same inside information. Thanks to a little-known SEC database, we can see what and when these corporate CEOs are buying up in real time, and then we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves that they have. Gang, that's why you have got to click on the link below and sign up for a free training with me and my good friend Ross Givens. It's this Thursday, March 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross is an insider trading expert whose recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. It's going to be an absolutely amazing free training online where you and I can learn how to trade with the same exact insider information as these politicians, but we're going to do it legally and ethically. But don't wait. Seating registration is limited. So click on that link below right now. Register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. Take a look at this list, this doom list for Democrats published by Axios. Now, this is from a survey that Democrats commissioned by Blue Rose Research, and it really doesn't get more brutal than this. The Democrats are currently suffering from their lowest favorability ever. Ever. They have no national leader, no one to help galvanize and lead the party. They're completely locked out of congressional power. They have no media influencers of note, all the while conservative media influencers continue to dominate. Thank you all very much for that. They have no chance of taking back the Senate in 2026. And if anything, they're likely to actually lose at least 2 more seats. And the Electoral College redistribution 2030 has the makings of a permanent electoral bloodbath for the Democrats, with red states picking up so many new electoral seats. The Republican candidate could actually lose all 3 blue wall states. We're talking Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, all 3, and still win the presidency in just a few years from now. And to make matters even worse, because the Democrats have been hemorrhaging working class voters and young voters, they'll likely end up losing all 3 blue wall states, particularly Pennsylvania, for the foreseeable future. I mean, the political forecast could not possibly be worse for the Democrats. Now, get this. The party, let this hit you, the party that thought that importing migrant voters would guarantee them electoral success in perpetuity, have seen a 23-point swing against them by those very immigrant voters. And that swing is most pronounced, you guessed it, among Latinos who now see themselves increasingly considering themselves as conservatives. Democrats support among such voters, these are Latinos who now consider themselves conservatives. Democrat support among Latino voters who now consider themselves conservatives has dropped by a whopping 50% and climbing. They've lost the working class. They've lost Latino voters. They're losing black voters. And to make matters even worse, the unthinkable is happening. They're losing the youth vote. That has never happened before. Trump gets the strongest support among voters under 30 of any age demographic, bar none. It's not even close. We're talking supermajority support right now. Democrat voters are either defecting to the Republicans or they are quite literally dying off, the boomer generation. Everything the Democrats have hoped for, either in the guise of lawfare or Latino voters, is blowing up in their faces. And given the red state dominance for electoral reapportionment in 2030, we ain't seen nothing yet. Things are only going to get worse. So let's just say, as of today, whether in the courts or in the Electoral College, it's not a good day to be a Democrat. You may or may not know that I left academia a few years back for broadcasting, but teaching the next generation has and always will be on my heart. I've been broadcasting now through 3 election cycles, and I'm just sick at what the elites have done to our education system. So I decided to step up. My team and I have been working on this for well over a year now. I started a school, and I have absolutely massive plans to take it nationwide. The Worldview Institute of Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship opens its first location in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on April 9th, and I want to invite you to the ribbon cutting. And I built a whole amazing event around it, so I want you to come and join me at the Kingdom Builders Experience, April 9th through 11th. You'll get an exclusive invite to the school's ribbon cutting. You'll be invited to a special Scotch and Cigars meetup with yours truly. I'll be lecturing at the school, plus we're hosting a Business Makers Summit where education meets opportunity. Now, seats are limited. Click the link below to learn more, and I can't wait to see you there.